It has been a little bit. It's been a couple weeks since I have played this and I have streamed it. Mainly because I did end up finishing my very first playthrough. I ended up getting an ending. There's actually way less endings in this game than there were in the first Fear and Hunger, which actually was like one of the things I was like, we're probably gonna have content for quite a bit trying to get like all these different endings and stuff. But there's actually in this game, from what I've seen, other than like character specific endings to like see all their cutscenes and stuff like that, there really is only 3 endings. So we're going to be trying to get some of those other endings. Now, I know I could get them on the same character that I did do already, Frogland. But what I want to do is start a new run with a new character that was chosen by you guys both on YouTube, the community section, and on Twitter when I tweeted out the same link. So I'm going to go check out right now and see what ended up winning the poll that I had posted. I posted this 4 days ago. So the winner right now is Osa, just slightly edging out Olivia by literally like 2% at the time of posting this. I'm actually gonna take a screenshot just so people aren't like, well, when I went to check, Olivia won. Oh, Frogland. I kind of like that. No. Let's go. And then parentheses. All right, let's do, I don't know if I'm ready for, do I want to try, I kind of want to try Masochism mode, but there's also no changing it fuck it. Let's try it. Hey, look, there's a Frogland on the bottom there. Frogtaro. The soothing sound of the rail tracks. You're not used to such a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere. You can't help but let your mind wander. You reminisce what has led you to this point in life. You were born and raised in the raging heats of Abyssonia, the continent with a long history embedded with chaos and warring factions. Those fools. The people around you waged wars over ancient disputes and grudges started by long-gone ancestors. But that is how it had always been. The people of Abyssonia held ancestors and the spirits on a godlike pedestal. But it's not like it was any better in the north. The continent of Europa, those fools worshipped ancient deities that none of them had ever seen with their own eyes. They certainly had their disputes as well. A great war after another. What's worse, their disputes didn't stay within their borders. They dragged everyone else into their mess. They had set their eyes on Abyssonia now because of its strategic positioning, securing an access to oil and other raw materials from the east. Yo, that's America, dude. We're talking about the U.S.? It was only a matter of time before their troops would march on your land. You were not gonna die because of some faceless puppeteers chose to focus their magnifying glasses on your home country this time. Despite your young age, you decided to leave. Your siblings and mother would mourn your departure. They wanted you to have something to remember them by. Oh, hell yeah. Take my family Chuck. That's a great start. A Chuck? Holy shit. You consider yourself as successfully dead inside. Not swayed by emotions. But it took a lot of effort to convince yourself that you wouldn't miss your family. You still obviously had weaknesses to weed out. You headed to the City of the Sun, Amon, to educate yourself on spiritualism and religion. You were no slouch physically, but you always considered your intellect your true forte. And just like that, you were accepted as an apprentice after some preliminary tests. At the same time, news about the Great War closing Abyssonia borders were all they could talk on the radio. Amon was far from the borders, and it would probably remain safe for a good while, even after a war broke. You figured you'd still have plenty of time to learn the temple and leave the country before it was too late. At the Temple of Amon, you were given a choice to learn various different schools of spiritualism. Learn worship in Europa, learn magic from Eastern sanctuaries, or learn methods of your home country. Let's learn the methods of our home country. Okay, so we have meditation. I don't know what any of those mean, by the way. I haven't looked up any of. There's 100% like a best strat, best things to get. I haven't looked up any of that, so I just kind of picking what I think sounds cool. You were talented and praised for your quick learning at the temple, but that came as no surprise to you. You knew you were smarter than most of the old geezers. They had only possessed knowledge you wanted. Once you had that, they served no purpose to you. More time you spent at the temple, more pathetic the priests of Amon started to look in your eyes. Religion in general started to look dubious too after examining how something, because I skipped it by accident, religious doctrines were molded to accommodate the current ruling class. Religion was used as a mere tool to control masses more than anything else. Dedicating your life to worship would equal dedicating your life to kings and queens of the time. You had left your home because you didn't want to die fighting someone else's war, so why would you waste your life serving someone else in turn? Around this time, you found an old scroll from one of the many Amon libraries. A scroll mentioned of an old sect of magical practitioners originating from the eastern sanctuaries, whose worldviews seemed more appealing to you. I maybe should have learned that. I wonder if I would have learned like a strong-ass fucking spell. Yellow mages differed from your typical priests. Instead of dedicating their lives to worship, gods existed for them. Their force was to be harnessed to further one's personal growth and agenda. Instead of finding order from the commandments laid out by the older gods, yellow mages reveled in chaos. Chaos was the natural state of the world, would return to time and time again, so why even try and force it to anything else? You quit the Temple of Amon and decided to head east in pursuit of these yellow mages. You traveled beyond your home continent, ultimately finding yourself in the narrow streets of eastern sanctuaries. You got acquainted with the local temples, even they had adopted the worship of Ulmer as their main religion. Eastern sanctuaries were no better than the temples of Amon in that regard. If anything, religion was even more prevalent there and dictated the way people were to live and die. You were looked down upon by the scholars and religious leaders of the era because of your very public opinions. That didn't bother you. You knew better. In time, your conviction convinced that the facets you wanted. Convinced the facets you wanted. You were approached by a group of traveling mages who wore colorful attires. The yellow mages that were still around in this day and age were reduced to small separate groups wandering around the world to study all fields of the otherworldly. The group saw the potential in you and offered a place among them. You liked what you heard and decided to join the wandering group. What did you specialize in? I'm gonna go with more advanced magic. Herding! Ooh, hell yeah. Alright, good start. Your path of learning and self-growth knew no end. Your travels brought you to a small border town in eastern sanctuaries. There you met a curious person, Hadil Azif, a self-proclaimed wizard from the Far East. Despite his pretentious appearance, his family name Azif was well known, even some feared in occult circles, which gave his claims at least some credibility. He was gathering a group of adventurers and accompanying him on a perilous quest. He had inherited a map from his late grandfather that was supposed to lead him in the infamous dungeon of fear and hunger itself. The place used to be a noteworthy location of pilgrimage for many aspiring mages and priests in the distant past. Yellow mages you had spent time previously told ominous tales of the dungeons as well. Initially, you dismissed Azif's talks, only to be haunted by the most brutal nightmares on the following night. Something was calling for you. You had to witness the place yourself. Ooh. You joined the motley crew. He was in Motley Crew, the band of adventurers Azifs had managed to put together and travel through war-torn Europa. Most of the crew quit halfway to Rondon because of how difficult it was to cross borders during the chaotic times. The closer to the destination you got, even more feverish your dreams became. The remaining members of your ragtag fellowship were visibly sick from the stress and otherworldly pressures that had befallen on you the moment you set foot on your quest. The breaking point was the day you were to finally arrive at the dungeons. A heavy fog drowned your camp and made navigation impossible. Using a compass did no good, as the thing was just spinning in circles wildly. Distant growls and howls created unrest. Not that there was any need for that, as superstition and constant misfortune had already convinced your fellow travelers that the trip was cursed from the start. Your companions panicked and scattered to the mist. Azif himself had been sick from constant nightmares for half the trip already. You left him curled up in fetus position in his tent and ventured forward on your way. Man, Osa's a fucking badass. After walking for a while, you started to make out something behind the thick white veil. The mist revealed structures of some kind. You got to a set of old ruins, or they looked more like measly pile of rubble now. If it wasn't for the dreadful aura emanating from the deep within, you couldn't tell there was anything remarkable about this place whatsoever. Near the main entrance arc, There was a mischief archaeological site with tents and digging equipment. The site looked abandoned. On the other side, there was wait, what? On the other side, there was a side entrance to the dungeons with stairs leading down to... Ooh! He found the dungeon from Fear and Hunger. Obviously, I mean, that's what we're talking about. But that's literally where you start the game in Fear and Hunger, the first game. There was a dead horse, too. Examine the tents, examine the main entrance, examine the side entrance. Okay, so let me think about it. So if he goes through the main entrance, he finds the big area, the big main area. He finds the ball. If he goes right, he finds... Oh, he could run into a lot of scary things. Let's go into the side entrance. Cautiously, you walk down the slippery stairs only to find a cave-in. The hallway had a totally collapsed and there seemed to be no way around it. Oh, shit. Buried under the rubble, there was an old skeleton in a medieval leather armor crushed under a ton of rocks. You didn't want to suffer the same fate with the skeleton, so you returned back. Oh, shit. Wow, so the side entrance collapsed. All right, let's examine the tents then. The archaeological site seemed relatively new, maybe a couple of years old at tops. There was no signs of people. Whoever had set it up had long abandoned the place too. All the documents and reports were written in Bremen, so you couldn't tell what exactly those people were looking for. This might have been just a regular archaeological incursion that stumbled into the certain doom unknowingly. If these truly were the dungeons of Fear and Hunger, even in their current state, they would surely swallow unprepared tourists whole. Let's head into the main entrance. By the way, this is really long and I apologize, but hopefully this is kind of interesting to some people because it's kind of interesting to me. The moment you stepped inside the dungeon walls, you felt immense otherworldly pressure. You understood that the place would drain any normal person to the brink of madness and starvation in a matter of mere hours. You had to be efficient about this. Even if the day was still bright, the darkness seemed to suffocate all light. You could barely see anything ahead of you. You lit up a torch. Okay, so the madness is going to go down slower. You stood at the vestibule of the dungeons. To your left, you saw a doorway leading to what seemed like a kitchen. There was a small room with the old wooden furnace in front of you. And to your right, there was a closed door. Actually, let's go to the kitchen. The room had small stools around the large wooden table covered in cobwebs and old stains. At the end of the room, there were old cupboards and kitchen utilities that had collapsed on the ground. The other corner had a roll of wooden barrels. Check the wooden barrels. The barrels might have once stored food and items, but that was hundreds of years ago. There was nothing useful there anymore. Suddenly you heard loud banging and screeching coming from the entrance hall. Adrenaline was rushing through you as you ran back to see just what was causing the noise. The door closed, jolting from its hinges. Something big was trying to force its way through the door. Whatever it was created inhuman guttural sounds between its swinging at the door. Hide in the room in front of you. You checked the room for any good spots to hide and decided to crouch behind the bookshelf. The place gave you a good vantage point while hiding you in the shadows. The door crashed open. You saw a dark silhouette of a gigantic malform being pushed the door. Oh no, they have a big stinger? The creature made gurgling noises as it slowly wandered to the kitchen. You used this chance to sneak past this thing to the dark corridor where it first came from. Only the creature had clearly gotten used to the darkness. It sensed you the moment you got out of your hiding spot. You charged to the unknown darkness without a second thought. You ran as fast as you could, creating distance to the malformed beast with each step. You couldn't see much in the darkness, but your door frame that had light shining through its crack caught your attention. You tackled the door open and stumbled to an overgrown courtyard. Quickly glancing back at the dark corridor, you noticed that the beast was nowhere to be seen. You figured that the last rays of the setting sun still kept it at bay. You took a breather and slowly walked across the yard. The grass had taken a sickly yellowish color and the setting sun created ominous shadows as its rays hit the lone gallows standing at the center of the enclosure. As you managed to focus your thoughts, you realized that there was an additional voice echoing in your head. Somewhere or someone was calling you from the depths of this forsaken fortress. There was something very curious about this echo. You needed to find its source. Not like you had a choice, but to delve deeper as the sun rapidly setting down, stripping you from the last barrier that kept the murderous beast hiding in the shadows. The courtyard led to another door, to the darkness. You pushed forward. You were at the foyer of the dungeons. The hall was large. To your left was a lavatory. To your right there was a long corridor leading to total darkness, and before you rose a large stairway up. Check the dark corridor. Your torch slowly pushed away the darkness as you advanced towards the unknown. The further you got, the stronger the echoes inside your head became. You couldn't make out words clearly, but this was definitely the right decision to head. Man, I hope that in the future, whenever like all the updates are done with this game, somehow I hope they could fucking animate this and you could play through this section where you're exploring the old dungeon of fear and hunger like hundreds of years after the first game. That'd be so sick. Because this just sounds so cool, man. Your torch slowly pushed away the darkness as you advanced towards the unknown. The further you got, the stronger the echo inside your head became. You couldn't make out words clearly, but this was definitely the right direction to head. A larger room opened up behind a set of rusty iron bars. Your torch revealed human-like figures that stood still just beyond the radius of the light. Upon closer inspection, you noticed that these figures were medieval iron maidens, human-shaped torture devices that had seen practical use judging from the old stains that formed from the seeping blood of the victims. The room had numerous other torture devices as well. Most of them would probably be inoperative to this day and age. Among them, you saw an old reinforced chest, and at the back of the room, you saw a corridor leading to the cell. Check the chest. The chest looked old. It might as well have been medieval for all you knew. As you tried opening it, you realized the lock was still fully functioning. You couldn't open it without a proper key. Ah, damn it. You felt a cold draft run across the chamber. The draft seemed to be guiding you towards a dark corridor at the end of the room. Check the dark corridor. The corridor that opened up was a long one with multiple cell doors covering each side. At the end, there were large bars sealing off a staircase. Only a rusty old lock stood in your way towards the deeper darkness. Okay, so he's in the little prison area. Let's check the gate at the end of the corridor. Despite being ancient, the lock seems surprisingly durable. You figured that you'd need a key or something similar to open the pathway down. Alright, let's check the cell doors. All the doors were locked. Your torch barely lit any of the cells, so there was no telling what was inside of them. The corridor that opened up. Alright, so there's nothing there. Check the chest. Return to the foyer. Check back at the cells. Let's return here. Okay, so it didn't want me to go to the dark corridor. Let's check out the stairway. The wide stairway led to an old Almerian sacrificial altar with the skeleton crucified to it. Okay, I know what room we're in now. Next to the altar, there was a side path leading to deeper inside the fortress. Okay, let's go check the side path. If this is going the left side, oh god, hopefully he doesn't hit that trap. I think I know where he's at. The path was a narrow corridor crudely made from misshapen bricks and stones. It looked like the floor had collapsed at certain points, but you were able to hop over the trench with ease. The large room opened up before you. The room stood out with its finer decor, spiral floored tiling, and its many bookcases covering the walls. The southern corner of the room had a small doorway shrouded in darkness. North end corner was more dilapidated than its caved-in ceiling and all. Search the bookshelves. Most of the books that were still left had been growing mold from hundreds of years, but were a handful of manuscripts that appeared surprisingly new. Ooh, Grogorov's Skin Bible. I feel like Grogorov's Skin Bible might be the best right now. That might be pretty useful for him. The manuscripts all seem to be part of a bigger compilation, and you would have loved to have all of them with you. But you had a job to do, and you couldn't burden yourself with too much extra luggage. A large room opened up before you. The room stood out with its finer decor. Okay, let's see. Oh, shit. Oops. Check the doorway. Your torch slowly lit up the small room and revealed a wooden desk with drawers and a carpet that was from the Eastern sanctuaries, judging from its patterns, and a partly eaten corpse that seemed to be part of an archaeological expedition. Search the body. The corpse belonged to one of the adventurers who had delved here with the archaeological expedition. That's what his outfit told you, at least. It was the traditional safari outfit you had seen in movies. Someone or something had been chewing on the body. There were human-like bite marks all over the torso and neck. I found tobacco, a blue vial, and prison keys. Okay. Prison keys is good. Faint whining and moaning could be heard from the partly eaten archaeologist. The corpse had trouble getting back on his feet, but after a small stumble, he already turned his attention on you. Slowly, one step at a time, the ghoul approached you with his mouth stretched unnaturally open. Ignore and return to the foyer. Yeah, let's just ignore it. You cautiously hopped over the collapsed floor in the corridor leading to your library. The creature was not as agile, instead face planting on the ground as it tripped on the rubble. The ghoul was waist deep in the trench, unable to climb back up. Desperately, he tried reaching out for you with his blood-soaked hands. The whines and growls turned into agitated shrieks as it furiously tried to snatch you. It looked like the creature was stuck. You figured you'd best just leave this area for now and explore somewhere. Okay. So now we have the keys for the prison. Oh wait, this might work on the chest. Uh-oh. Loud creaks and groans could be heard behind you. Something big had just entered the foyer. You figured it must have been the malformed archaeologist from before. The sun must have set, which made it possible for the creature to advance to the courtyard. The creature must have had your scent, and his footsteps clearly closed in on you at a rapid pace. You had to act fast. The corridor opened up with a long one with multiple cell doors. Wait, the corridor that opened up was a long one with multiple cell doors covering each side. At the end, there were large bars, sealing off an old staircase. Only a rusty old lock stood in your way towards the deeper darkness. Check the cell doors. You heard the creature charge through the nearby torture chamber, knocking over the iron maidens and crashing through the tables and chairs in pursuit of you. All the doors were locked. Your torch barely lit any of the cells, so there was no telling what was inside of them. As you turned around, your torch revealed the hulking beast right next to you. By then, it was too late to react already. The beast grabbed you violently and snapped your neck like a twig. The last thing your eyes registered was the monster's pulsating appendage hanging between his legs. No, I saw a stinger. No. Looks like all this just aroused the beast. Oh no, it's pulsating. Looks like your story ended before it ever properly began. What? I died in the prologue! This is the only game where you could die in the prologue, I swear. Jeez. And I died the worst way possible, to a pulsating stinger. We never did check that lavatory. Let's go check that, the toilet. Your torch lit up a row of grimy old toilet seatings. Old blood stains were mixed with what looked like semen. You wondered how and why you knew such an exquisite little detail. I have mentioned that multiple times. This fucking thing again. What did I do last time? Return to the torture chamber. Despite knowing what was waiting for you there. Oh no! You barely got out of the corridor as a malformed beast charged you with full force. You got violently tackled against the wall and lost consciousness. Come on! Man, Osa just starting his campaign is difficult, man. I love the idea of him sitting on the train, right? And then he's sticking all this back and then realizes he died a year ago. Does this open up this? You could sense his hatred homing in on you. Why? The beast is already charging towards you at the gate. Oh, fuck, I skipped it with W. The bars and gates seem to hold the beast for now, but you didn't want to stay and find out whether the thing could eventually break in. I swear to God, I did that last time, didn't I? Fuck's sake. Alright, we did it though. Instead, you took the stairs deeper to the darkness. The thought crossed your mind. If darkness had twisted those poor sods to become mindless beasts, would the same fate await you if you stayed at the dungeons for long enough? I think I know which stairs he's going down. He's going down the main set of stairs that leads you all the way down to the bottom area. That has the door that leads you to that one city, the Maharab. And then there's also, that's where the twink was. The stairs became sticky from old gore and blood the deeper you got. The air was stale and had a rotten smell to it. The voice inside your head got louder. You still couldn't make any sense of words, but it was definitely calling for you. Deeper. You had to get deeper. That much was clear. Damn, what's calling us? I wonder if it's gonna, there's no way it's gonna be, what's his face, right? Griffith? No, he's dead. Well, you entered a huge chamber full of partly buried skeletons and rotting corpses laying about. The ground had a thick layer of dried blood and filth which had accrued around the chamber walls over the years. Each step you took echoed to dizzying heights. You couldn't see the chamber ceiling. The walls just rose up forever to the darkness. There was 2 staircases in the chamber. One led to the ground level you had just escaped, while the other one led to the lower level. In the middle of the chamber, there was a rather new-looking wooden contraption. Examine the pile of bodies. Most of the bodies have been decaying and decomposing for hundreds of years. Some bodies looked fresher than others, while some reduced to bare skeleton. The ludicrous amount of corpses did raise questions about the purpose of this chamber, but there was no one around to answer those questions anymore, so you just took everything at face value. Examine the contraption. You didn't notice the gaping hole at the center of the chamber until you got close and your torch lit up the surroundings. The wooden contraption had been built around it as a freight elevator of sorts, lifting and lowering items and people if necessary. The contraption itself stuck out just by not being stained with blood and filth like everything else. Judging by some of the equipment around, the elevator must have been used by the same archaeologic expedition. That's a tough word to say for me for some reason. That had set up the tents outside. You could have used the contraption yourself too if you had some rope with you. Take the stairs down. The stairs leading down were sticky with the grime, like everything else in the chamber. A cold draft moved you along the chasm that awaited you at the bottom. A giant underground ravine opened up before you. Even your torch couldn't properly light up the area. There were iron grid platforms suspended above a seemingly bottomless chasm. The platforms were mounted on cavern walls and linked together with a shaky-looking bridge. The side you were on had a few individual prison cells in a row. What awaited on the other side of the bridge was shrouded in darkness. I'm trying to think, where are we now? Osa is on a fucking hell of an adventure, man. Check the prison cells. You tried opening the cell doors, but all of them appeared locked. Some of the locks were too rusty to even function properly anymore. There appeared to be no way inside the bars. Not that you missed anything important. The torchlight revealed just regular prison utilities like piss buckets, chains, and a couple of skulls belonging to the previous residents. Examine the ravine. The grid platforms looked old and rusty. The platforms gave worrisome creaks as you walked on them. Oh no. The fact that parts of the platform had already collapsed didn't exactly reassure you to the condition. A giant underground ravine opened up before you. This is gonna go so bad. Let's walk over the bridge. Is this where Moonless was? Is this what I'm thinking of? Is this where we are? I thought we were in the bottom area. You cautiously walked up to the bridge. Just putting some weight on the thing caused a couple of nuts and bolts fall down to the endless depths. You braved across it. The bridge felt like it was about to collapse at any moment, but somehow it remained together. The other side of the ravine was more or less identical to the one where you just came. There were 3 cells in a row. At the end of the platform, there was a corridor leading away from the ravine back to solid ground. Check the cells. All the cells were locked. One in particular caught your attention. There was a huge naked creature inside. Its features looked human, but the person must have been at least 2.5 meters tall, if not more. The upper body of the thing was shrouded in darkness. For a moment, you thought the creature was still breathing, but you figured it must have been the flickering torch creating illusions. Surely. What the hell? You walked away as quietly as possible, regardless. Man, imagine Osa fucking doing all this shit, man. Go to the corridor. The corridor took you to a small intersection. To your left, there was a doorway to a small room. To your right, the corridor continued deeper in the darkness. Check the small room. The room looked like it had once belonged to an army officer. There were numerous weapon racks in the room, positioned next to an empty shelf. At the back of the room, there was a wooden desk with an impressive-looking leather recliner behind it. Behind the desk, you noticed a small cast iron chest and what seemed like a rusty lever. Oh boy, wait. I don't know if I want to check that lever, to be honest. Check the chest first. The chest had a thick and durable looking lock. It must have been just that too, as it had survived the rest of the time and undoubtedly a myriad of looters. You tried forcing it open with no luck. If all the thieves from the past several hundred years given up on the chest, it would have been unlikely it had been you would finally be the one to break the thing. You heard distant chains rattle by the chasm. Oh no. Seems like the small commotion caused by your exploration reached the ears of someone or something. Fuck. The room looked like it had once belonged to an army officer. There were numerous weapon racks. Weapon rack. A few swords and spears left in the rack. It looked like they might have been once more. Looters probably taken everything that looked half decent and valuable. One of the swords wasn't complete rubbish, and one of the spears appears to be in surprisingly good iron spear or officer's sword. Let's go for an iron spear. A loud creak echoed from the ravine. The dungeons were dead silent apart from the small ruckus caused by you going to the officer's room. Whatever still lived in the darkness would hear you loud and clear. Oh no. Fuck. I have a feeling if I check the lever, it's gonna go, okay, you did 3. Now this thing's in the room with you. Check the lever. It looked like a mechanical lever used to control something. You tried pulling it, but it was stuck. It didn't budge even a little. It was a curious little thing, but its purpose would remain a mystery to you. Oh no. You heard an ear-piercing screech. It sounded like a cell door was just forced open. Steadily scraping sounds closed in on you as you felt a terrifying presence advance in the darkness. Hide behind the wooden... Why would I just stand there and wait and see what happens? Fucking hide at least. You hid behind the desk and tried to get a decent vantage point. As the scraping noises grew louder and louder, a huge humanoid creature entered the room. The thing was naked, revealing its abnormally muscular and scarred physique. Its left arm was missing, replaced with what looked like a long pole or rod full of... Oh no! Wait, it's a fucking Crow Mauler. Oh no. Oh no! The most striking feature, however, in this abomination was its head. The thing had the head of a crow, and it was not just a mask. The feathers were growing down its neck, too. Its empty, glaring eyes seemed to stare right through you from the darkness of the doorway. The crow gave a loud caw that was mixed with the deep, resonating growl of an anguished man. That was all the warning you got as it charged straight at you. Oh no. The creature swung furiously at you with its mauler arm. Cast hurting on it. You didn't have time to even start chanting the spell as the mauling arm crushed you against the floor. The creature knew perfectly well how to utilize the dreadful weapon as its thorns and spikes scraped the skin of your back. You were surprised by the mercy shown as the crow finished you quickly with just one additional swoop that broke your spine. God fucking damn it. But I'm on the train. That's me there. What, they put my body in the train? I need to get good at text adventure. I don't really. They don't make them anymore. This is the first time I've ever played a text adventure game. Let's first do the weapon rack. Let's grab a spear. Let's check the lever. Unless the lever is what frees the thing. The Crow Mauler. Return to the corridor. No, why did I check this? Oh, shit. Your torch pushed away the darkness. The dancing light flickered on the lone skeleton chained to the wall. Oh, Froglin Sr., he's still there. They locked his ass up. The corridor circled back to the great chasm and its suspended platforms. The gridiron bridge connecting the two sides had completely collapsed on this end of the ravine. You noticed a rope tied to the platform. On the other end of the rope, you saw a corpse belonging to the archaeological expedition. This person had apparently hanged himself. The horrors of the dungeon must have been too much for him. Let's lift up the corpse. You pulled the corpse up. You were writing your assessment. The person had modern clothing that looked like that of a stereotypical Western archaeologist. The person had nothing of value. You did pick up the rope. Okay, we got the rope. Gridiron bridge connecting the two sides had completely collapsed. Examine the ravine. You saw faint shapes in the darkness. The platform seemed to continue to the other side. God knows how large this man-made area really was. The gridiron bridge. All we could do is head back. Your footsteps were the only thing echoing in the air apart from the occasional water droplet heard in the distance as you headed back. Head back to the dark corridor. Oh no. As you walked to the platforms, you heard loud screeching from one of the cells. The noise seemed to come from one of the cells at the end of the platform. Something trapped inside was causing the ruckus. A large humanoid creature replaced what looked like a long pole. Okay. You couldn't help but take a few steps back. That strong was the killing intent emanating from the thing. Attack it with your spear? Cast hurting on it? Try to slip by it. You try to slip past the creature. First, you dodged another swing coming your way, and then leaped on the annexing bridge, just barely escaping beyond the crow's reach. You ran across the bridge. The creature followed you, hot on your trail. The shaky bridge clattered under your feet. Just as you made it to the other side, the whole thing fell to pieces. The hulking mass of the Crow Mauler was too much for the antique construction. The creature slumped down to the endless chasm with the collapsing parts and pieces. Let's go! Fuck that thing. He's never gonna get a date now. As you walked back, you once again heard the echoes inside of your head. This time, you could almost understand some words. Deeper. You must delve deeper. The correct path must have been somewhere at the bloody chamber. There were 2 staircases in the chamber. One led to the ground lever. Escape. Examine the contraption. You tied the rope tightly to the wooden beams and threw the loose ends down the pit. A cold draft could be felt coming from the depths below. You headed down. You climbed down the claustrophobic bloody pit. The pit opened up, and the area revealed itself was even more open than the ravine upstairs. There was a huge cavern beneath the fortress ruins. The rope ended up on top of a crashed wreckage. An iron cage had crashed on the rocky ground from the pit you came from. A closer inspection suggested that it was an elevator of some kind. Needless to say, it wasn't functional anymore. You stood on ground next to the wreckage. The cavern was huge. Your torchlight left you standing in the middle of the darkness with no point of interest, apart from a makeshift campsite with a couple of tents, some archaeological equipment. Examine the wreckage. Iron frame of the elevator bent on the fall. There was still broken chains hanging off the roof. The chains lifted and lowered the elevator. The was still functioning. Okay. Check the campsite. As you walked past the tent, you noticed that there was no signs of life there. The archaeological crew was gone. Guys, I heard a couple of tents. Okay. Check the documents. The documents were written in Bremen. You couldn't make any sense of them, really. They were very official-looking papers among them, which suggested that the expedition orders came from someone high up from the Bremen office. Maybe even from the Kaiser himself? A reported document, each item found from the digging site. There were pictures of said items etched on paper. The items looked mundane for the most part, but all of them had carvings on them that were unlike anything you've seen before. They didn't match any culture you were aware of. One document caught your interest especially. It had a sketch of a cubic object, with various ornaments and sigils carved all across it. Something about this item raised the hairs on your arms and made you sick to your stomach. There was something special about this cube, no doubt about it. I think we know what cube that is. The campsite had a couple of tents. Wait, no, oh, damn it. Head to the darkness. You started walking to the darkness with your torch working as the only source of light. As you walked away from the wreckage, the voice echoing inside your head became more distant. The further you got, the more aggravated it got too. Whatever was the source of the voices, it obviously didn't want you to go this way. Keep on walking. You walked straight until you ran into a rock wall. The wall rose up beyond the radius of your torch. Continue along the wall. You kept walking. The ground was pretty even, and in general, the terrain was fairly easily traversable. Pretty soon, you found yourself at the edge of a cliff. The site reminded you of the ravine upstairs. Most likely, the chasm before you was the very same. The place looked like a dead end, so you traced back your footsteps back to the elevator wreckage. Okay, so I went all the way back. That proved out to be more difficult than you expected. The ground was hard, so there were barely any footsteps left on it. After meandering about for a good while, you stumbled upon the wreckage just by sheer accident. Lucky you. See, guys, I am lucky. Oh, there we go. The digging site was bigger than how it looked initially. The site expanded to nearby cliffs and wooden platforms leading down to a dark chasm. Go down the wooden platforms. You descended below to the darkness. The echo inside your head returned once again. Misguided soul. Can't you hear my call? The words were clear this time around. Good. Finally. The voices became ever more clearer. The archaeological crew had been digging deep and revealed something that should have stayed hidden. Ancient structures could clearly be seen protruding from the rocky surface. The structures looked almost like remains of a city from another time. The wooden platforms took you straight to them, and the ladder was set to lead you inside what looked like a temple or some other place of worship. You climbed it. Most of the temple was dilapidated by the time, but you could still spot some murals on the wall that depicted rituals and gods not known in this day and age. Even if you only witnessed glimpses of something larger, the scale of the building already impressed you. It was unlike anything you had ever seen. Eastern sanctuaries, the city of Amon, Abyssonia, they all paled in comparison. The voice inside your head was getting louder. This way, this way, this way. You dug the rubble with your bare hands. You turned over wooden structures and pushed away a stone pillar. And there it was, the source of the voice. A burnt and withered head. A severed head to be more. No fucking way it's this guy. That's the voice that was in our head? It was the fucking head, the damn wizard head. The head had deep lined. How the hell is he still alive? He got fucking set on fire by Grogoroth. The head had deep lines running across it. In the place of its eyes were dark and empty sockets. The only hair on the head was sparse mustache under its big nose. I wasn't expecting a worm like you weaseling its way this deep to the dungeons, but I'll take what I get. All earthworms do, after all, is dig. Your garments. Maybe you do have more than a camel's spunk in place of your brains. You are a yellow mage, are you not? You confirmed the suspicions of this beheaded oddity. Figures. That is why a measly maggot like yourself could hear my call. Very well. Kneel before me, for I'm your master, Nas'hrah, the doom and terror of the modern man. The name Nas'hrah, that was a name you were not expecting to hear. It was a name even the yellow mages only talked in the darkest hour of the night. Nas'hrah, the harbinger of the burning crusade. Nas'hrah, the bringer of torments, the doom and terror of the modern man. The great wizard from the eastern sanctuaries went by many names. He indeed was your master, for this beheaded wizard was the one who gave birth to the yellow mages and their ideology. Only that had happened over 1,000 years earlier. There were no records of Nas'hrah for at least 500 years. You are a lucky bastard, lucky indeed. There was a man I skinned alive. After that, there is a man I want skinned alive. After that, I want to rip off their spines, those maggots. They will slump before me, limp and feeble. Hey, why's it gotta add limp to that? Your master seemed to be surprisingly up to date with the twists and turns of the world had taken since his absence. He had a mission for you. As a yellow mage, you were supposed to follow your own ambitions and greed. But there was a lot you could learn from this death-defying wizard that could further your knowledge on dark matters greatly. You decided to play along. You were sure that this terror of the modern man was perfectly aware of your reasoning too. That was the typical relationship between a master yellow mage and their apprentice after all. You were to travel to a small country in the eastern Europa with the beheaded wizard to a town called Prehevel. Did we finally make it? Your master promised events of cosmic proportions. The stars were aligned for something big to happen, something that would turn the tides of the world for good. The head left out details from his history on purpose, but that did little to bother you. You had just jumped to the deep ends of the otherworldly world. You couldn't have asked for more. With this little information about the task at hand, how did you prepare for the trip? Finally! That took like an hour. That's pretty cool, though. I can't believe Osa actually found and explored the... Yeah, all that to grab a fucking head that deflects spells. Let's take some magical goods. Tobacco and condensed lavender. You felt tense since the moment you embarked on this journey. Every night you'd seen nightmares of the horrors that would wait you in Prehevel. Whatever the price, the opportunity was too interesting to pass. With mixed feelings, you continued onward. Yes. Please save my fucking character history. I skipped the intro? I'll watch it again. You hear voices echoing from the beheaded wizard. We're in his radius now. Better not let me down now. Oh, that's cool. So is the wizard gonna talk to me? throughout this playthrough. That's kind of sick. Hey, I know you from that Fear and Hunger series on YouTube. Purifying talisman. Now you can get head on the road. You mean get ahead on the road, like start walking? Uh-oh. You. I've been looking for you everywhere. How about we be aggressive with it? Get your hands off of me. A feisty one. The eyes of the janitor bulge out from their sockets as his expression intensifies. We can do it the hard way too. No. Oh, fuck. I thought I was going to run away. His dick. Guys, that's just his sacks. Like, that's where he puts coins in that thing. All right. Should we aim for that thing? I burned his dick off. Miss. Nice miss. Look at that. Wow, that only did that much damage? Oh, come on. See? This is what you get for not listening to me. You deserve every bit of what's coming, you maggot. Oh, you chopped my eggs off. Ah! Get back to work. Sir, might I have a tissue, please? Your voice is echoing from the beheaded wizard. Chicken shit. Do as the man told you. Get back to work. Okay, sir. Who's gonna clean my legs, though? Alright, now we're here. Yeah, the lore that comes from the head, since he's obviously, like, has existed for a long-ass time. Combat manual, pre-heval. No, I didn't mean to rest! Already, I fucking used up one of my rests. Idiot. How are they wait, what? How are they dead? I wake up instantly and then just go to sleep. What the fuck? What? What the fuck was that? How did I get moon scorched? What? Oh, there's no resting in masochism mode? Uh-oh. Wait, this starts on day 3? Wait, what? So that means I can't even get the endings I'm trying to get.
Yeah, so you might as well just do the normal one.
Are you fucking kidding me? Why didn't anybody tell me? How do you guys not backseat me and it's useful? There's no fucking point in playing in this mode. I want the other endings. You can't get the other endings unless it's pre-day 3. God damn it. Well, I kind of want to see a little bit of what this mode has to offer. Damn, that means we can't even use our new abilities that we got. My freaking red arc build. Okay, so I'm curious who's alive. Or what's alive. The moon god has noticed me. What does that mean? Oh fuck. Oh fuck. What's that? Uh-oh. Oh, something's wrong with me. I heard a noise. Oh, there's something chasing me, I think. What is that? Termina is upon us. What? Alright. Can't be outside. Can't be inside. Just, yeah, why not just stay in the train? And fucking masturbate until I die. So my assumption is, as soon as the moon god notices me, I gotta get inside. We can't even actually... Oh, fuck. Yeah, we can't go into the sewers. The only reason I was able to enter last time is because, okay. Yeah, let me go. What's going on here? Burn his arms. He's holding a 50 cal from Call of Duty 4. From here, the next era is the town. And we have that one guy's little thing. You have to go get a hexen table. I know. The only hexen table is literally at the end of the game. Crap. 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 No. 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 Run. Okay. God damn. How long do I have out there? Holy shit, dude.
70 seconds.
That did not seem like... That was like 20 seconds. Sir, I have 4 shillings. May I please have something? Anything. All of his muscles seem to tense up at the heat of an attack. I wonder how much damage my spear does compared to... Oh, way more than... What the... Are you serious? It missed? And that guy's out of his fucking thing now. Ooh, a lucky coin. A egg. I just open it. I need something in here. Nothing is good in this world. Everything is bad. I found a sewer wench. No. Oh, I'm dead. Why is she running at like that? Do you think I can convince him to just take my body instead? Alright, we'll take the arm real quick and then... Wait, what? Guys, wait, I'm still alive! The pigs wouldn't hurt me. I'm in touch with nature. I've saved many of you. I only eat vegetables. No, they're eating me! The pigs are eating me a lot! Maybe we should just start a new run.